I could also put this question differently. Why did you wanted to create a podcast around loneliness and aloneness?
It's a couple things. One, I was reading a lot about this. It seemed like there was a growing conversation that runs parallel to the growth in the use of technology, which we can get into a little. But plenty of psychologists do believe that loneliness will be our next big public health issue. As you referenced earlier, the percentage of, well, in America, at least the percentage of adults who say they're lonely has doubled from 20% to 40%. And
yeah, it's a huge uprising.
Yeah. And I think even outside of the States, there's a reason that there are these quote unquote intelligent nursing robots that have been living with residents of this social welfare center in China since May. They exist to provide companionship for the elderly whose families are increasingly too busy to visit. There's a reason that
that's crazy.
There's a reason this woman, Amy Lutkin, who's actually a comedian, but also a writer about non-comedic topics. And she shared the story of her non-dating life on Jezebel in January. For the first time ever, single adult women outnumber married adult women in the US. And there's also a reason that two millennials in the UK have created an app called Huggle to foster friendship. There's a reason all this stuff is happening, and it's because more and more people are reporting feeling isolated and depressed. So one, it was sort of a hot topic, if you will. I mean, that's sort of gross language to use, but, one, I just saw a growing conversation around this. Two, when I brought it up to people seemed uncomfortable to talk about it. And that may be partly why you don't see other podcasts about this or with loneliness so explicitly in the, headline, or title of the podcast. So I think fighting the stigma against loneliness and admitting that we all get lonely sometimes is important and maybe even urgent. And then also, there was this conversation. I had the time to do it. And I also was feeling lonely myself because it seemed that people all around me were more settled in their lives than I am. My friends, my peers, from romance, career standpoint, I felt kind of a loneliness over not being a part of the grown-up pack, feeling behind and feeling kind of hopeless that I would never figure it out enough to take any real big steps forward. I can spiral pretty fast. So I think those are all reasons why I started the show.